Hello, everybody. Welcome to a special Friday morning edition of the Rotoworld Football Show. I am Patrick Daugherty here with Denny Carter and Kyle Dvorchak to break down, of course, the first round of the 2025 NFL Draft. We were too sleepy to do it Thursday night, so we're doing it Friday morning. We wanted the takes to be fresh and well-rested for you. That's takes on everything from Ashton Jeanty as RB what in 2025 redraft leagues. Sight unseen, are we going to be drafting Travis Hunter, not knowing the role, not knowing the ADP? Can we get excited about Tetairoa McMillan in Carolina? Do we have any good theories on the Egbuka pick in Tampa Bay? It seemed kind of weird. Matthew Golden, some days he looks like a bust. Other days he looks like a potential star. We're going to get to everyone. That includes the tight ends, a little bit on Jaxson Dart. So many big names, but we would be remiss if we didn't start out the show, Denny, on an extremely negative note. I'm talking about the worst trade any of us have ever seen. The Atlanta Falcons trading a future first-round pick for the number 26 overall pick. Real big brain stuff here, didn't he?
They needed an edge rusher, and so they got one. What's your problem, Pat? No, I mean it truly. I mean it could go down as the worst pick, the worst transaction during the draft of all time.
No one's even come close to making a move this bad since the Falcons.
The Falcons.
This year.
This front office is clueless in so many ways. I just wanted to share this. So they traded they traded next year's first round pick, okay, for this guy Pierce out of Tennessee, right? Kyle, was this guy like a top 3 edge?
Probably not 3. So he has some character off-field stuff that seemed to be every team except for the Falcons seemed to be thinking he'd fall. His line is at like 31.5. It was like he's a fringe first rounder.
Okay.
Talent is better than pick 31. And the Falcons are like, stop your sentence there. I will hear no more. Yeah, his line was, I think, I bet his over. So it was like 31.5. He was a fringe first rounder in terms of the entire body of work.
So here's what ESPN Seth Walder said last night, and he was like the rest of us flabbergasted by this move to get Pierce by the Falcons, right? He says, talking with someone from another team just now who said they thought there was a non-zero chance that Pierce would have made it to Atlanta at 46, at pick 46.
Non-zero for sure, like easily non-zero. The red flag.
And then at that point, if he's hanging around, even in like the late 30s, early 40s, it's like, okay, we'll trade our third rounder to move up 8 spots.
And then Seth Walder says he checked his pre-draft numbers, and he had it that a 15% chance that Pierce would drop to the 46th pick. So about 1 in 5, a 1 in 5 shot that he would have been available there, and the Falcons could have just taken him. Could have been taken without sacrificing next year. And here's the thing: so who do they trade with? They traded with
no one knows.
Texans.
Rams. It was the Texans.
Rams?
It was the Houston Texans.
Rams were a different trade up.
No one knows.
Okay, all right. So the Falcons, they could be a bottom 7, bottom 5 team next year.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So this works out.
They live to be a bottom 7 team.
Yeah, that's
right.
That's where they're.
Oh my gosh, it's truly shot. I mean, the Bears front office is bad. The Falcons is another level.
You don't trade future first rounders for you trade a future first rounder maybe for number 14. That would maybe be the cutoff, like the end of the lottery
for 26.
20.
Yeah, for a quarterback too. I think the Panthers trading up was too high risk for Bryce Young, but that's a guy who can change your entire franchise. The amount of edge players who change franchise in the NFL is like 2, 3, maybe 3. I'd say frankly, Myles Garrett is the best edge maybe of my lifetime. And the Browns suck. It did not change the franchise. He's awesome. He is incredible and worth every penny of briefly the highest non-quarterback, highest paid skill player, highest paid non-quarterback. And it did not matter for them at all last year. And you gave up as a mediocre team your future one.
We don't like it. We do like Travis Hunter wherever he ends up. This was a weird draft in many different ways, where lack of big names, lack of pre-draft trading, and also just a lot of chalk. And part of that chalk was somehow even the Jaguars trading up to number 2, only chalk for a day or two before. But this rumor really started to gain momentum. It kind of seemed like it was happening most of the day Thursday. And then like clockwork, they come on the clock at number 2, Cleveland. It's announced the trade has happened, Denny Carter. The Jaguars made the big move for Travis Hunter. The young GM, James Gladstone, I can't say I agree with everything he said in his post-game or post-draft press conference. Seems like maybe a bit overwhelmed, the young man, maybe a bit overestimating his abilities, but do not overestimate that he got a game-changing player in Travis Hunter. One, of course, everyone on the planet thinks will be good except for Denny. He's in Jacksonville as a wide receiver. He's with Brian Thomas Jr. Sight unseen, without knowing the role or his ADP or anything like that. Are you excited to draft Travis Hunter in 2025 Dynasty Leagues? They did announce Friday morning he's going to start off with the wideouts.
Start off, which is a key phrase.
I think it's a very important phrase.
One good player. I swear to God, Denny.
Being primarily worked in with the wide receivers. Yeah, Denny, you are allowed to like good players. Right? We do.
I kind of dug myself in a hole here by being like, perhaps he's not great. And so now what? So now that the vibes are good and he's dancing around in a pink suit.
Well, I would say the vibes were never bad with Travis. Yeah, the vibes have been nothing but good.
This is great for dopamine purposes. It's fantastic, right? Like it's cool. Like he's a chill guy, and everybody likes it, and all that. And I get that. So
you say that like it's bad.
What am I gonna say? He's cool. He'll be fine. He'll be good. He'll be great. Here's the thing, though. Every time I turn on my TV, people are projecting him not just to be a good player, but to be a transcendent, perhaps the greatest, most important player in the history of organized football.
I will say some of those people include people who are running NFL football teams.
Right. So hey, you know what? If that's the bar, I don't know if he gets there. I don't know if he becomes the most important athlete in the history of the United States. We'll see. Well, I mean, because that's what he's being pitched as. That's what the Gladstone kid said last night when he was selling. I mean, he was selling Hunter like he was selling an iPhone in 2007.
It was a bit much. He was selling him. Gladstone has bought hook, line, and sinker the football Ohtani talking point. He has bought the football Ohtani.
And the Browns did. By the way, the Browns did this. The Browns were like, yeah, he's Ohtani. He's generous. He's transcendent. He'll be the greatest thing that's ever happened to the game. And Gladstone was like, oh yeah, hell yeah, I'm doing that for sure. So they got him.
They did. So Denny won't be drafting Travis Hunter. We already knew that. Kyle, will you be drafting Travis Hunter? Say, for instance, in the 40 best ball drafts you plan to do this weekend.
Yeah, probably. Like you're telling me we get. I agree with Denny that like his prospect profile as purely a wide receiver was good. I think it looked like a first round pick. I said it looked very similar to Calvin Ridley and Drake London. Drake London, number 8 pick. Ridley was like somewhere in the teens, I think. So, like, if you ignore the
Ridley
context,
was 8 also, actually.
Was he 8? No, there's no way they had another 8.
They did. This has been, I think so. Anyways, continue talking.
Because the 8 streak was Bijan, Penix, Pitts.
There's
no way Ridley was 8. They wouldn't do that to us. The Falcons are smart.
Oh, no, he's 26. Sorry.
Okay, he's actually later than I thought. But yeah, like somewhere in the range of a first round pick. I think London was probably one of the other 8s. London's probably thinking of one of the other 8s. Somewhere in that range, mid first round wide receiver. If you ignore the context of he's good enough to play top-notch, maybe CB1 in college football level of cornerback, you just ignore that. I think he was a good first-round pick. So you're telling me we get a good first-round pick, who the team says they said they'll game plan primarily for him at wide receiver. He is going to play corner. I'm very sure of that. You wouldn't do this move if you didn't play him corner. But they're talking about game planning for him primarily as a wide receiver. The average top 10 wide receiver makes $32 million. The average top 10 corner makes $22 million. Like, there's a massive gulf between.
I'm a wide receiver now, folks.
Yeah, like, duh. And not only he should want that, but also his team should want that. Like, oh, what we can play. This guy's a two-way player. He plays kicker and quarterback. Like, which one do we want to play him at more? Like, play him at the one that costs more money to acquire. He'll play both. But this feels like one of the higher end landing spots in terms of how much wide receiver he can play. The team spent the number 2 overall pick, and let's call it the number 8 overall pick next year on him. And they have a giant opening at wide receiver 2. And as far as teams picking the top 5 go, they have the best quarterback of like the terrible teams picking the top 5, right? Like, there's no other good quarterbacks.
I mean, who cares? Damning with faint praise. Yeah.
Whatever. All right. Yeah. Like, he was going to go to Joe Flacco, who is actually fun, but like is bad. He was going to go to Joe Flacco or Russell Wilson. And instead we get Trevor Lawrence. Like, that's an upgrade over those guys, I'd say. So to me, it's a fine enough quarterback play. I mean, a quarterback play good enough to get Brian Thomas Jr. to an elite level of rookie production. He's got clear path to both routes and targets as the team's wide receiver 2. And the team spent a ton on him. Why would I not draft this guy? Like, grow up.
Well, I'm going to split the baby and say, I don't agree. I mean, I think he is a genuinely special prospect, and there is a reason they were fawning over him. But I do have a hard time getting excited in fantasy just because, like, we just don't know how he's going to truly be deployed. And I always thought it made more sense to start him off as a package player on offense. To your point, Kyle, probably not smart to think that way from a value perspective. So you do want to start off with the hope that he's more of a package player on defense as offense, but just not knowing what the role is going to be, knowing that there is a true alpha wide receiver one already there, and Brian Thomas Jr. Sight unseen, until I know the context and the value, I will probably not be drafting Travis Hunter. And it's because I don't like fun things.
You said you'll split the baby and then said you're not taking him.
Well, I'm just saying, unlike Denny, I think he's actually good. For some reason, Denny has decided he's not good. And with
I didn't say not good.
It's almost like it's difficult to be the most efficient wide receiver in the country if you're also playing every
right. Sure, that could be a misjudgment on my part.
Could be. I would say it was.
I fully acknowledge that. Also, this idea that was started, it was a talking point created by Deion Sanders, and then the media picked up on it, that it's actually easy to play both sides of the ball in the NFL.
Well, for him, it was.
So where have all the other guys been over the past 30 years?
Well, I would say where all the other guys been has been a lack of imagination and the over optimization of everything and the overthinking of everything. I don't know. Maybe a good player can actually do two things.
No.
For decades, we had players who played both NFL football and Major League Baseball.
Absolutely.
And maybe it's not quite as hard as they've decided.
So you're telling me that the kid GM and the Jaguars are going to buck the entire cultural trend of super optimization. They're going to do this now.
There's no way. Yeah, they already did. It's fine. They already proved it. It doesn't even matter if he's good.
I mean, I saw an actual segment today. Will he win both the offensive and defensive rookie of the year awards?
He might.
No, that's a real good time to move on. So we're going to move on to the guy who probably will win the offensive rookie of the year, Mr. Ashton Jeanty. Again, the chalk, this bathing in the chalk during last night's draft where the Raiders maybe we want, and no, we're taking him immediately. We are taking him literally immediately. Ashton Jeanty at number 6 overall. 0 point in pretending this was not the plan all along for the Las Vegas Raiders. Denny Carter, Pete Carroll gets this guy. Fantasy managers get the fit. I don't know if necessarily we all wanted, but that we became comfortable with during the pre-draft process. It's certainly not a bad fit. Geno Smith is a game managing quarterback. Pete Carroll loves the run. They're going to run the ball a ton. Touches will be shoveled Ashton Jeanty's way, Denny. Again, sight unseen, my phrase of the day. Ashton Jeanty is the RB what in 2025 redraft. 0 chance he gets out of the top 12 picks, but he is the RB what?
2.
Denny. 2? All right, never mind. Yikes. 2.
I mean, I had him at 4. Go for
I guess I should actually pull up the rankings.
I mean, I would take Saquon, but who else are you taking?
I don't friggin'
Bijan and Gibbs are the only players I think you can even make I mean, if you wanted to make CMC.
Yeah, he's the RB2. It's actually pretty clear cut. Yeah, never mind. Bijan is still the RB2. Actually.
Maybe.
I put him at RB4, but I truly have no qualms with you saying RB2. Generational, literally the second most rushing yards to Barry Sanders in a single season. It's fine to call him a generational prospect who 2 years ago looked like generational levels of receiving prospect in terms of his pass catching production. He had over 3 yards per route run in 2023. The first round running backs who have done that in the PFF route tracking data are Jahmyr Gibbs and Christian McCaffrey. I don't think he's quite on their level as a pass catcher, but he might be. Why not? Why can't this player who's the best rusher in 30 years or whatever also be a really good
okay, let's be. I think it was 3 more games than Barry. I will say that part.
Sure. I don't.
It was still the most. He passed Melvin Gordon, who also played 14 games. So no matter what, it was a truly special season. Obviously, the second most.
Yeah, Barry Sanders' season is better. Yeah.
Barry still can't even really hold a candle.
I think part of this calculus is maybe fantasy managers forgetting how good Chip Kelly's offense can be for rushing purposes.
Well, there's a reason we forgot that.
So I have some stats, and I know he flamed out in the NFL, but so at Ohio State last year, and Kyle probably knows this, Ohio State was top 3 in.
Well, Kyle only watches 2 games a year. 3. He starts at the Michigan game and then watches the playoffs. Yeah, sorry, Denny.
I didn't even watch the first playoff game. This one doesn't matter.
Oh my god.
Buckeyes top 3 in rush EPA. The previous year at UCLA, they were top 15 in rushing yards per game, one of the more efficient running attacks in the nation that year. So it's a really good system. It's going to be run heavy. It's going to be run first. Maybe we've talked about this, Kyle, and maybe you can soothe me here a little bit. I know 2023, his receiving efficiency numbers and overall receiving numbers, crazy good. They were the worst in the country in 2024.
Who cares?
Yeah, it is true. Who cares? I think it's because they stopped. Froton and I talked about this. Like, truly, like, why pass the ball to him? Just when you can literally hand the ball to him.
Take the middleman out.
Yeah.
Hand him the football, and he will give you 7 yards of carry. I think there's like a difference between measuring like raw overall talent, in which I care what you've done over the course of your career, and especially like I care if you've done something earlier for like a wide receiver, especially. I want to see you do stuff as a true freshman or a sophomore. But like, what are your capabilities? Actually, what you're capable of probably is best measured by your peak season. Like, has a team shown the ability to use Jeanty as an elite pass catcher? Yes. If a team has shown that once, it can happen again. Whereas if he had just been like good for 3 years, I'd probably actually be lower on him, even if his overall production, like say he had 400 yards last year and 300 yards the year before that, there'd probably be more yards than he had over the past 2 years as a pass catcher. I don't really care about what he did over a 3-year span if we've seen elite ceiling as a pass catcher in 1 year. That's what I want to focus on.
Yeah, Denny, my take on the Jeanty pass catching is that in 2023, they're trying to figure out how good this guy really is. They're probably actually designing him some touches in the passing game. Last year, I, of course, am not basing this on watching all 14 Boise State games. I think what probably happened is his catches last year were more like undesigned, like desperation. I got to get the ball somewhere. There's the running back. I'll pass it to him. Whereas all the design touches last year were just understandably runs. I actually do think that's probably what happened. Well, where he wasn't getting high quality designed passing game targets, because why would you ever design a passing game target for Ashton?
Just hand it to him.
I'm not just talking about the fact that he only had 18 catches. That's not really what I'm talking about. I'm talking about he was 154th out of 160 qualifying running backs in yards per route run.
That's what I'm basing it, because I just think these are probably not scam touches like you get in a lot of these college offenses. Because again, the design touches for Jeanty were in the gut, putting the ball in his gut.
All right.
And that I just don't even – I agree with Kyle. Like the year where they were like evaluating the player, figuring out what his skills were, they targeted him and he was amazing. Last year, they know he can catch the ball, but guess what he can't really do?
I'm just quibbling. Look, he's gonna catch 50 balls next year, and he's gonna crush fantasy. So let's just I'm accepting of that.
The only thing I'm a little worried about is he too thick? Like I know it's good because it makes him hard to take down, but the guy is thick.
He's
Barry Sanders. Listen, not that Barry wasn't thick, but Barry was kind of nimble, kind of light on his feet. Ashton Jeanty is a big guy.
Oh, it's totally different. By the way, and Pete Carroll is just, like every coach, he's just trying to relive his glory years. And his glory years included Marshawn Lynch. And he wanted to repeat that here.
He did. And we're going to reap the benefits in fantasy football. Omarion Hampton, more chalk, where Travion Henderson was trying to get into the RB2 conversation, but most of the spring it was Omarion Hampton. It was Omarion Hampton on draft night, one of only 2 running backs to go in the first round. He goes to, I can't try and remember for a second, the Los Angeles Chargers. We know they want to run the ball badly. We know they gave $5 million to Najee Harris. That's not nothing, but it could be more even for a running back still. I do fear Najee will, of course, get the first crack at being the guy on early downs, since Omarion Hampton can actually catch the ball and is actually efficient, actually busts big runs. He profiles as a change of pace guy. Or Kyle Dvorchak, do we just trust the fact that Najee is not certifiably not good? Hampton is more versatile and explosive, and really don't worry about the fact that he might not technically begin the year as the starter and just press draft every time Omarion Hampton comes up in our leagues.
That's kind of how I feel. Not that Najee maybe won't get the first crack at the starting role. He might. I think that's just something I'm fine living with, though. If you tell me over the course of a season, I get to bet the number 21 overall pick, a really good prospect who can do everything, who can break tackles, break long runs, who can catch passes, and I get to bet that player versus Najee Harris on a 1-year deal worth the same amount. He is making less before incentives, but he is making less than Jaylen Warren, the guy he was starting over. He's making less than Devin Singletary, a pure backup. He's making the same exact dollar amount before. Again, he has some incentives, so he will probably, well, maybe he won't hit the incentives, but he could grow past these guys. But he is making the same base amount as Jordan Mason, who's just like a backup or a 1B maybe. And the reason he's a 1B is because we know the 1A is not a do-it-all type of back. The 1A, and ultimately just the 1 in this Chargers backfield, is a do-it-all back in Omarion Hampton. So I agree that the first few weeks might suck and be like, wow, I drafted this guy in the 4th round and he just got 12 touches to Najee Harris's 14.
But sure, we're 12.
Yeah, they're going to run the ball a lot. They're going to run the ball a lot is a good thing. So I'm just fine living with that. If I get to make a bet against Najee for a really good talent with a ton of draft capital backing him and the Chargers not backing Najee with a ton of money, I'm going to make that bet.
Denny Carter.
2 things. One, just to emphasize how insanely inefficient Najee Harris has been over the past 2 seasons. He ranks 109th out of 140 qualifying running backs in EPA per rush over that span. Like, we're talking like bottom of the barrel. Like, he's alongside like Craig Reynolds, of Lions fame. So that's not turning around here. Does Najee fit the Harbaugh-Roman prototype? Of course he does. Of course, he's a big bruising back who is not all that good, but he, bowls people over sometimes. I will say, though, that the Chargers, fleeting interest last year in Kamani Vidal, our guy. I'm
taking him higher this year, by the way.
Tells me that this Chargers team is at least efficiency curious. And so, Hampton being the more efficient guy, I feel like I can count on him eventually just taking this backfield over completely. Eventually,
I do think he's going to take it over completely. I do fear Najee will never be completely phased out because he likes 2 running backs. At least I'm kind of starting to conflate Jim Harbaugh with John Harbaugh and Greg Roman. Where when I think of Jim Harbaugh, I keep thinking of those Ravens teams that always have 2 or 3 running backs taking 13 or 14 carries. That actually was not Jim Harbaugh's MO in San Francisco. And in Michigan, he did have a bell cow approach a lot, famously, of course, Mr. Blake Corum. So I guess I have to be more open to the possibility that Hampton could just take everything and Najee could really get relegated. It does feel like it's going to be like a stubborn 2-back approach most of the year. But Najee, again, my favorite stat, he never had a 40-yard rush in 4 years. He had 5 30-yard rushes. Last year, I think the stat is right. Omarion Hampton had 26 rushes of at least 15 yards. Like, listen, I know it's the ACC, not a real conference.
I mean, that's awesome, though.
It's hard to believe Omarion Hampton won't easily get the strong side of this committee at some point early in the season.
I like, and from a fantasy standpoint, I actually like Najee Harris being in this backfield. It makes me smile because here's the thing. Hampton's ADP will be suppressed all spring and summer.
I think we'll talk ourselves into it by July, but I
think this is going to be the first time in 5 years where people aren't arguing Najee Harris as an ADP bargain.
I don't know, guys. I don't know. As soon as Harbaugh comes out and says, "Nah, Najee's the guy," it's over. Like Hampton's going in the 6th round.
No, it's not. We have a half decade of, and we know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess drafters are too smart today.
People are not. It might working for us, Najee, this year, except for Denny.
No, Pat's
no.
He's talking about Hampton. He's not talking about Najee.
I didn't say I was taking Harris.
No, he's not talking about it might work for us, Harris.
No, I understood what Denny was saying. He was thinking that Omarion's ADP will be suppressed, and I'm saying that's not the case. It will not be suppressed at all.
We'll see.
Because people aren't falling for the Najee trick this year, was my point, Kyle. I'm falling for the we need a short break trick. We'll be right back after this. We are in the middle of NFL Draft Week, which means a marathon of news, rankings, player interviews, and more on the NBC Sports Now channel. Tune in all week beginning at 7 a.m. Eastern for PFT Live, The Dan Patrick Show, Chris Sims Unbuttoned, and Fantasy Football Happy Hour for the latest news, insights, and rumors surrounding the remainder of the draft. For more details, visit NBCSports.com/now. Of course, we will have a blurb up on every single pick for rounds 2 through 7 on Rotoworld.com. Literally every pick. Get to meet your new draft picks on Rotoworld.com. Big shouts to the whole team, but especially Mr. Eric Froton. So we're sticking with skill players in the show since that's what we're going to do. So we're not talking about any of the guys that Eric wrote up, obviously. We're going to talk about the guys that we are trying to get excited about. I use the word trying with Tetairoa McMillan. in Carolina because it's like, I don't know, number 8 pick, that's great. First receiver off the board, that's great. Hyper productive college career, that's great. We'll get a targets avalanche, that's also great. Is it just simply too shaky of a fit? The big boundary guy with our tiny little QB man, Bryce Young, who hasn't really been threading like these boundary needles in the pros. Denny Carter, are you excited? There's like a lot of guys in this Panthers receiver core too. None of them are good, of course. But how do you feel about Tetairoa McMillan and Charlotte?
I am, after being very tepid on McMillan, I feel like it's a pretty good landing spot, and this is with the assumption, and I think it's a pretty safe assumption, although not locked in, that Bryce Young will continue, the growth that we saw over the. I know, Pat, you
definitely wouldn't call that a safe assumption.
It's all a figment of my imagination.
I had all of the good Bryce Young stats too. I won't need to say them.
I mean,
safe assumption feels very strong.
He was a legit NFL starter over the final 6 weeks of last year, and you can't say anything otherwise.
Starter.
Ninth in EPA per play, top 15 in completion percent over expected, number 5 in PFF passing grade. Like,
he's good. He's good. He's good now. He was bad. Now he's good.
Big. All right.
I refuse to have take lock on Bryce Young. I have take lock.
Played the Cowboys, played the Cardinals, played the Bucs, played the Falcons.
I don't care. The Panthers, horrible defense, gave up a record number of points last year. And instead of investing in defense in the first round, they went offense. And I, as a fantasy dude, I'm all about it.
I would say that. Man, it's what the Bears did last year. I was just really hoping the Panthers would do that.
What do you mean?
Like for the Bears, like, this is sick, man. They took Roma Dunze. They signed all these dudes. It's gonna be freaking off. I don't care if the defense stinks.
No, but Bryce Young is good.
I'm more on Denny's side than I'd like to admit here.
My God.
Caleb not.
So you like the fit too, huh? You guys like this fit?
I actually really like it. I think
I like the fit.
I think volume wise, it's going to be real good.
I like it in that he's a proven target commander and target hog. And yeah, it's in an offense that is desperate for that kind of thing. I do think, though, it's the kind of physical skill set that hasn't panned out a ton recently in the NFL. Drake London is mostly panned out. And when you get this kind of like dying breed skill set of like, yeah, he's the boundary guy. You got to give him contested catch situations. Are we really trusting the Panthers to trust Bryce Young to do that?
Yes, I think Dave Canales is going to get the most at a young.
I have faith in Dave.
Yeah. And I have faith in Canales.
Dave Canales, who benched him the second he was bad last year.
He had to, dude. He had to. The team was crumbling. Yeah. The team was openly questioning, why is Bryce Young even
He was
playing?
right. It worked.
It did work. It did work. Now, I trust Canales to not just put Ted McMillan on the sideline and be like, all right, brother, you do your thing. Okay.
Yeah, he's not. I hope and don't think he's going to.
He did actually play in the slot a decent amount in Arizona, apparently.
He only ran 20% of his routes from the slot.
20% is more than 0%, though.
It is.
Sure, I wouldn't say that's a lot. He was really good from the slot, and I think maybe not his rookie year because Adam Thielen can literally just only operate out of the slot anymore. It's just like the last vestige of his talent. So maybe he won't do that as a rookie. He didn't do it a ton in college. So I don't know about that, but he was really efficient. He was the number one efficiency player in the slot. I think some of that was because when you move that guy to the slot, it's because he has schemed a target on that play specifically. So it's like a selection bias thing that happens. Yeah. But I interrupted Denny, but I think the point he was going for is I think he's similar in some ways to Marvin Harrison Jr., except the Cardinals said, let's use you like MVS and Alec Pierce because they're not creative and they don't know what they have. And I think if you use that player like he's Nico Collins, that can work out, or like he's Drake London, that sort of breed can work out a lot better than saying like, dude, you're running 9 routes and we're not going to throw you the football. So and I trust Canales to do more of the Drake London or even the Nico Collins, where Nico runs deep. He gets open deep, but he's not running 9 routes. He's running these deep breaking routes where he can use what is ultimately like a player who's shiftier than he should be for his size. That's what Marv is too, can use that to his advantage. I think we'll see more of that with Canales getting to use T-Mac that way.
My official talking point on T-Mac is that I'm not going to be overdrafting him like I do some rookie receivers where I get really excited. But yeah, I am not opposed to drafting Mr. Tetairoa because the targets will be difficult to argue with. I do truly believe that. I will argue a bit with this Bucs pick. Emeka Egbuka, good player. Wide receiver 2 off the board. We also really like that. This one did feel random to me because Egbuka, he's a slot guy. They committed big slot money to Chris Godwin through 2026. Lots of guaranteed money the next 2 seasons. Mike Evans is still playing football and easily getting 1,000 yards receiving. No trickeration at all required for that. Jaxson McMillan scores a lot of touchdowns, but no one seems to think he's good, including the Bucs. Denny, do you have any good theories on why this pick was made?
Yeah,
are you excited about it? It is basically become like a full-blown air raid offense at this point. So
sure.
I do like that part.
Okay, so we're talking about in Egbuka, a guy who ran 80% of his routes from the slot. And with Godwin, you're talking about a guy who runs 90% of his routes.
I was going to say 99.2%
from the slot, right? So my initial reaction right off the bat was that, they saw something in Godwin's medicals that is not good. And I refuse, because here's the other option. They're going to rotate at slot. So they just wasted a first round pick on a wide receiver who's going to rotate at the slot with their main guy. This is probably a terrible pick, but I think it says to me that Godwin's not right.
Well, they knew if he was right or not when they gave him that new deal, though.
That was what I came back to as well. Like, if you knew he wasn't right, you just wouldn't have signed him to that contract. Godwin's not a 90% slot guy. He was 62% last year, and he was weirdly curious. It's still, I mean, it is still a lot. He's a primary slot receiver. That's when he's at his best.
Sure, I've never seen him play a single rep on the outside, but yeah,
2 years ago, he was a primary outside receiver. Like, he's
fake.
Yeah. Listen.
Everything in the NFC South is fake.
Kyle, that's actually a good point, because then that opens up a third option, which is we're going to bump the gimpy veteran out wide, and we're going to put the electric rookie in the slot, and that's terrible for Godwin.
Well, it's terrible for Godwin. We don't care about it. We like.
No. I know. But I mean, what I'm saying is, like, when they say, "Oh, Godwin's fine. He'll be ready for week 1. No problem." Okay. I'll believe that. I'll buy that. Do I want him playing on the outside? No, absolutely. I want the cheat code stuff, and that's what Egbuka gets.
Yeah, I think they'll do some splitting and some rotating, which isn't fun. Like, I do think you're not going to play Godwin as a primary outside receiver. I still think he truly at his core is primarily a slot receiver. We've seen him like a few years be a primary outside wide receiver. That's not when he's at his best. I think Egbuka can play a little bit on the outside. He literally, people gave him, kind of like at the Justin Jefferson comp, in that he literally had the exact same combine measurement. And he was a wide receiver too in college, like Jefferson was alongside Chase. Everyone's like, oh, no ceiling with this player. But like, ceiling's hard to pin down, but being good and having a high floor generally lends itself to ceiling. So I think, and Godwin and Egbuka has the size to play outside. Like Denny said, it's not really what he did in college, but he has the size and just the pedigree of being good at football to maybe do that. So I think they'll split time between him playing outside, him playing in the slot, and then probably won't run every route, because McMillan, like, I'm definitely a McMillan doubter, but like,
it's a shame, but it's over.
Yeah, I mean, he was a touchdown merchant last year. He was like Jahan Dotson's rookie year, in that even in his, like, if you just look at McMillan from week 12 onward, his like breakout games, it's like a 1.9 yards per out run guy, which is fine, but like, it's replacement level. So at his best, only look at the good games. He was a touchdown player who was like replacement level in terms of yardage production. He'll still run some routes. Like, he's not completely gone. So maybe that sort of makes it frustrating to have Egbuka. But first round talent who had like stellar film grades, who had like a pretty good rookie profile, not perfect, but a good rookie profile, and plays on, like Pat, you said, they're like functionally an air raid offense at this point. I get it. I get why they went in this direction. It is a little weird, but like,
yeah, it's weird. I don't get why they went in this direction, but I guess maybe it's a pure best player available thing. And I guess maybe
that's super valuable in the NFL too. I agree. It doesn't like make sense as a needs fit situation, but like, best player available, one of the 4 most valuable positions. Sure, whatever.
And it's the Bucs just being honest about their roster, and teams too infrequently, I feel like, try to strengthen strengths. Like the NFL's like, all right, well, obviously we have to address our weakness. Like, no, what if you just became even stronger at what you do best? And they have a belief that Todd Bowles will just scheme them up on defense too. So it's not like it makes no sense at all. And to even Denny's point, it is possible Chris Godwin has suffered a setback we don't know about yet. This would be a pretty dramatic reaction to that, I would say. That I don't really think it's that. But the Bucs, they understand. This is Baker Mayfield's team now somehow, and
it is.
We should look at how these guys keep getting head coaching jobs, and maybe it's because of Baker Mayfield and not them.
Yeah, I know all these coaches are Baker merchants.
They're Baker merchants. Matthew Golden is a speed merchant. 4.29 wheels, even though some TikTok bros were saying the gun was hot. I don't know how they settled on that with him. But anyways, Matthew Golden, let's be real. Checks a lot of bust boxes. 3 years in college, never got to 1,000 yards. Absolutely love that. Really, really, really love that. When I play 3 years of big-time college football and never even get 1,000 yards. One time, Eric Froton tells me he averaged under a yard per route run against man coverage. Can't say I'd use a first-round NFL draft pick on that, but he could be special. The speed speaks for itself. The big plays speak for themselves. He did start stepping up down the stretch last year for the Texas Longhorns. But Denny Carter, in fantasy, it's just kind of hard to love the landing spot unless you believe he's going to immediately vault to the top of this crowded receiver core. And there's nothing, in his profile that says, I'm ready to be the guy on day one. When, again, he wasn't even a 1,000-yard receiver ever at the University of Texas or Houston. I mean, this team is obsessed with running. Like, are you going to be drafting Matthew Golden in 2025? Obsessed with the receiver rotation as well.
No, I will not be interested in it at all.
Are you even drafting him in Dynasty? I mean, let's be real.
I mean, I guess if the price is right.
I meant it all. I meant in any of like the 5 rounds or whatever. Just let him go.
Oh, yeah, of course. But just based on where he was taken.
Just don't have a spot on the roster with Kenny Uzzoa back there. You can't.
Yeah, exactly.
So Golden, last year at Texas, 15% target per route run. Okay, he was targeted on 15% of his routes. That's horrific. Like 20% is concerning. 15% is like off the charts bad. So congratulations, Packers. You got another guy who doesn't command targets. You got another guy who's just going to run a lot of routes.
It is insane.
And rotate with your other 4 mid receivers and not distinguish himself at all. So I think it's a bad pick. It further confuses this rotation. Who says that Golden is going to be a top 3 receiver in this offense? I mean, are we sure? Are we sure that's going to happen? And
sure.
Like Pat said,
he probably is.
Like Pat said, this team is obsessed with establishing it. Okay, they're running a prehistoric offense to shield or guard against Jordan Love. I guess they don't think he's good. Which that's news to me. I feel
curious.
I feel like he's good.
Very curious.
I feel like he's pretty good. You should let him play. Let Love play. And so I don't get the pick at all. And people are going to be maybe, just curious about Golden because he went in the first round, but I'm not interested.
Every year there's kind of a first round receiver like this guy kind of looks like an instant bust, and a lot of times they are, Kyle. But do you have any pushback on the Matthew Golden potential insta bust?
Yeah, I mean, also this guy kind of looks like a bust. I feel like has 100% hit rate. Like last year, it was it the Panthers jump 1 pick into the end of the first to get Xavier Legette?
Yeah, Quentin Johnston.
That was the other one I had. Yes, it was like, oh man, there are examples of it not being true. I'm sure I couldn't name you one. It seems to have 100% hit.
Justin Jefferson had a little of that chatter. More, he had more
same.
People who supported him. I will say.
Not the same. The only argument I can make is being a 3-year player is a really good sign that the NFL will take you in the first round.
3-year player for one school, right?
Okay, well, he got called up to a bigger school. He didn't have to go down. He got called up. This is up and down. He went up to a good school, and he almost got 1,000 yards at that school. I mean,
16 games. He played 16
I know
games.
they played so many games.
Did I get 1,000 yards in college?
It's over. It's so over.
Like first round pick who is an early declare is a good sign. That's about where my argument ends. I think maybe we want to have a little bit of humility. Like if you're drafting a bunch of best ball teams, you're like, I'll mix him in, right? But he's one that strikes me as like, I can get some spike weeks out of this extreme speed guy with a quarterback with a cannon of an arm, and maybe that's enough to be a win in best ball. In Dynasty, I'm like, I kind of want to rely more on what I think I can do is point out to some degree, I'm not going to be perfect, point out players who are good and not as good. And all the things Denny said are like, this guy is not as good. I will take a weird situation with Egbuka over Golden quite easily because I think Golden's really good. A lot of stuff, or I think Egbuka is really good. A lot of the stuff says he should be really good. There's just not a lot of green flags for the Golden profile. So in Dynasty, he does feel like let someone else take that headache. if you're drafting redraft, it's not maybe the worst idea to get, say, first round receiver. We should take some shots on him every now and then.
Kyle's right that you need to always have humility with real life first round picks in fantasy and dynasty leagues. And it's a pretty good Packers front office, very good Packers front office. They have not been very good at receiver though. And
I give them credit. I think they've been good. They've been turning like third round picks into starter adjacent guys.
They just have kind of an identity crisis in offense too. And
for sure,
there's a lot not to like with Matthew Golden, but you can never overstate enough the fact, like when you're in dynasty leagues, he is a first round pick. You have to always keep that in mind.
Right.
Producer Adam points out Jalen Reagor, one of the insta busts. The second the ink dried on the pick, everyone knew.
Oh my God, Laquan Treadwell was like an iconic.
Yeah,
this guy does not have a style that wins in the NFL. He was like, the OG guy of that, like the Clasher is dead, and boy was it dead.
We're gonna take a short break and then have a sprint run to finish our show. The first major of the LPGA Tour tees off later this week. Watch the biggest names compete in Texas at the Chevron Championship on NBC Golf Channel and, of course, streaming on Peacock. Again, the chalk. This was one area where the chalk didn't hit quite as hard, where Colston Loveland was the first tight end off the board. But the chalk hit, and then Tyler Warren did go to the Colts, who for weeks were probably like, we're going to probably take Tyler Warren. And
right.
Can I print that? Or did you say off the record? No, I didn't say off the record. Like, no one cares. Just put it. Yeah, no one cares. I'm like, all right. The Colts are taking Tyler Warren. Denny Carter. So Loveland versus Warren. Loveland feels like the clear 2025 winner to me if we're talking about redraft fantasy, but there's a lot of target competition for both these guys. Not to mention quarterback question marks. You don't even think Caleb Williams is good. I just feel like both problems seem more acute for Tyler Warren, who's Anthony Richardson or Daniel Jones, 4 wide receivers fighting for targets and what's going to be a low volume offense. I just don't see how Tyler Warren gets enough targets to be viable in 2025 fantasy. Or Colston Loveland is pretty severe target competition himself, but we got the offensive maestro, Ben Johnson. Do you agree that Colston Loveland should be the redraft priority over Tyler Warren?
No, I mean,
and no. It's over for me.
I mean, what is Cole Kmet just going to disappear?
Listen, everyone knows I like Kmet, but yes, he is. Ben Johnson doesn't care. Speaking of not caring, oh wow, yeah, you paid your tight end $60 million for some reason. Guess what? I don't care.
Yeah, sure, and if that's the case, then I'm totally wrong here. I mean, Colston Loveland has a lot of holes in his profile. I will say one thing that caught my attention: 28% target share in 2024. It came out of nowhere. He never had anything close to that coming into the year, but he was made part of the offense finally. Not a yak guy at all, and a lot of mouths to feed. That whole thing.
Yeah, he's not a yak guy.
No, not a yak guy at all.
Not a yak guy.
And that's sort of the tight end cheat code in fantasy, is a guy who can catch it and make something out of it. But then, on the other end, you have Warren going to a Colts offense that's going to be bottom 5 in pass rate over expected. That has Michael Pittman and Josh Downs, 2 of the biggest targets.
And Alec Pierce and friggin' Adonai Mitchell. Like, they're not like non-entities when it comes to
what I mean is like that middle of the field stuff, like Pittman and Downs eat that up, right? And so I don't know where Warren's opportunities are going to come from. He might be efficient, but like these guys couldn't be in worse spots, I don't think, for fantasy.
Just started laughing at a joke I was making in my head. The whole Colts skill core in like a meeting early in training camp, and like Shane Steichen's talking to the offense. You may be wondering how we're going to use this. We love Tyler over how we're going to be using Tyler, and he starts writing on the whiteboard just in real big letters H back. The whole room just starts groaning. Oh my God,
he's the Joker.
Yeah, the whole audible groan and the what? I'll be finished. And there's an audible groaning, and I'm upset about this Tyler Warren fit because I like these crazy players, like these versatile players. Yeah, how is he ever going to get targets? Like seriously, how is he going to get targets? He cannot get targets.
And if he draws a target, how is Anthony Richardson going to complete it?
Yeah,
look, I like Ant. He's fun, man, but like, dude can't hit the broadside of a barn for like 10-yard throws.
I will say with Warren, though, you cannot just not take him in dynasty leagues. I mean, you don't have to prioritize him, but Anthony is gone in 2026. Shane Steichen, not even really his fault. He's probably gone. Chris Ballard is probably finally gone. And so, like, it just feels like a push here for Tyler Warren in fantasy. And that's a shame because he's a better player than that, but it just feels like a total put. Colston Loveland, I'm putting in the low end tight end 1 ranks, I'll say. Because Ben Johnson, he's here to do 2 things. Let's create his own identity and be Lions 2.0, and he's all out of creating his own identity. And so he's going to try to recreate the Lions offense. He wants his Laporta 2.0 and Colston Loveland.
Man, gosh, you're right.
Yeah, he's not. I'm here to do 2 things, folks. Right?
Yeah.
That is to be the Lions, but worse.
Cole be the Lions, but outside of a dome, so you're instantly worse.
Yeah.
I just realized we didn't even talk about Cam. We're not going to talk about Cam Ward today, but everyone kind of knows the deal with Cam Ward. We're going to talk about Cam Ward a lot. I guess we know the deal with Jaxson Dart. Do you guys have Jaxson Dart thoughts? Because great. Yeah, you got a team.
My thoughts are this. He could not have more of a Zoomer haircut, and
it's a bad. Let's just say it. You can say it. It's bad.
No, it's cool. Obviously I couldn't do it, but I mean, for Zoomer, it's cool.
And 3 haircuts my entire life. I change my haircut once every 15 years. Then
me too.
For 15 years.
Yeah. But here's the thing I don't get, right? So they draft Jaxson Dart in the first round, and Dable immediately comes out and says Russell Wilson is our starter no matter what. And this is exactly what the Steelers did last year when they got Fields and Russ, and Tomlin said it's Russ no matter what, guys. And they saw him play once, and they were like, forget it. Like it's off.
I'm not even kidding. He got 1 text from Russ. He's like, hold on, wait a second.
So we have to go through this again. We have to see another team commit to Russell Wilson and then bench him in week 3. It's going to happen.
With Dart, it's because we were making fun of the Tennessee. Talk about not a real offense. Ole Miss. Although now I'm seeing more Lane. Even though you couldn't notice this, he actually opened the offense up, made it more like an NFL offense last year. Like, okay, I never noticed that, but all right. Where Dart, the fear, he's a 1 to 2 read passer right now, and he's going to need time to develop. I do actually agree with the Giants in theory that you cannot throw Jaxson Dart into the fire. But guess who was lucky not to be fired last year was Brian Dable. The pressure on him to get the rookie in there is going to just be immense, immense. If Dart does get on the field, I know Kyle has seen some maybe worrying Daniel Jones similarities. I can't remember if it was Kyle or not.
I mean, Daniel Jones was good for fantasy though, because he can run the football. I think there's some of that, like has a good arm, but
also, for unlike Daniel Jones, A-Dot and was sky high at Ole Miss too.
Yeah, Daniel Jones had a good arm and refused to throw the deep ball, which was like he took his shots well, but like if you're just going to never throw deep, you're probably not that good of a deep ball. Whereas Ole Miss, the Ole Miss offense really let Jaxson Dart open up. Like you said, he had one of the maybe the highest A-Dot in college football.
It was
one of the best deep throw producers. It's unclear exactly how much of that. I mean, it's very unclear how much.
His yards per attempt was like way higher than anyone else too.
Yeah, crazy. I mean, all the numbers are great, and he was a really good deep ball thrower. But I think I said it before. Tua looks like a really good deep ball thrower in the spreadsheets because all of his deep ball throws are like wide open Tyreek. At least they used to be. They don't throw deep anymore. But I do think you've got some of that good arm talent combined with really good rushing. Like Dart was like a 600 and 700 yard rusher.
The dude loves to run. I'm not sure he's actually a dual threat. I couldn't even believe the stat when he had 45 scrambles. I was kind of like, why? Like, so he's tucking and running a lot. To me, he doesn't go through his progressions. Like, I'm going to run now.
I don't care if he does.
That's what happens when you go, I'm going to run now in the NFL mode, and you're not a truly elite rusher. You break a rib immediately. And we'll see.
Who cares? I'll cross that bridge when it's broken.
Dart does do things the good fantasy quarterbacks do, as well say. So we should remain Dart curious.
I am.
I'm in.
I am.
You are. Do you have another thought beyond that?
No. I mean, I hope that he gets in there. I think he could be somewhat fun. I think neighbors would benefit obviously from having someone who can just force feed him the ball.
I guess we probably should have talked about Cam Ward, but we didn't do that.
I have some thoughts, but we can do that.
We'll have a Cam Ward segment on next week's show. Today on this show, let's put a fine point on everything we just talked about. Denny Carter, who was your favorite skill player fit? And you can say a favorite overall fit if it's truly not a skill player. Out of everyone we just talked about, what's your favorite skill player fit, though?
What am I going to say? I'm going to say an offensive lineman that got the dude with the short arms. Give me a break.
Listen, they could be longer. So I thought maybe this talking point was overplayed until I saw him in the suit. Just saying.
I I'm out on the
they could
arm.
be longer. That's all. I just
I've never seen shorter arms. Let's be real about it.
What do you want me to say?
This guy needs like custom fit golf clubs.
Oh, come on.
Anyway, look, it's T-Mac McMillan, that guy. And here's another, and I've already been through it. I know we're wrapping up here, but also we got a report while we were podcasting here that Bryce Young vouched. Sorry, that Bryce Young vouched for McMillan. So we have that narrative going. It's
he
on.
Pounded the table. He didn't just vouch, didn't he? It sounded like a full-on table pounding.
That was the Tank Dell bull signal too. Was CJ Stroud was supposedly pounding the table on day 2 for Tank Dell. So this is the same. Let's just go with that.
Denny likes T-Mac. He wants those targets. Kyle, who's your favorite skill player fit?
Can I just take the layup and take Jeanty?
It's Jeanty. I mean, clearly
he's running for 1,500 yards,
and
for 300 through the air. Like, cool.
It's just Jeanty. Like the pick you've had to think about the least in so long. Like, yeah. I mean,
right.
He like you guys said, he probably is the RB2. Like, how can you not love that? Denny, your least favorite skill player fit?
I mean, Golden. Like, I just feel like it's already over. Like, I don't. It's over. I'm sorry. I mean, first, I do want to say, my man's teeth could not be whiter. They looked amazing on TV last night.
Oh yeah.
Also, he's not going to be good for fantasy. Sorry,
Kyle.
I'll go Loveland. I get a little like rookie year Dalton Kincaid vibes from this guy.
Wait, who did you say? Loveland?
Colston Loveland, the tight end.
Sorry, mine. I'm gonna one up you. It's Tyler Warren. Because it's my least favorite fit. Because unlike Golden, I actually like the player in Tyler Warren. Just what the hell is he supposed to do?
He's run blocking out there. He is a vicious run blocker, and he's doing.
And I guess take wildcat snaps, but it's like, what is this guy even supposed to do? It's just
you said it. Wildcat run block. He had a punt in college. Let him punt. Colts are gonna be doing a lot of that.
Let him punt. Let us end the show. A lot to talk about. Again, kind of like ESPN last night after Cam Moore got taken. They just didn't talk about him.
What is going on?
It's been known for so long, though. There's no surprise with it.
That is why they didn't talk about him. It's why we didn't. It's Cam Moore.
He's Mahomes. They didn't say it.
We'll talk about Cam Moore next week. We're going to talk about everything on rotoworld.com this weekend. Again, blurbs for all 257 or whatever selections on the website. Everyone, all hands on deck. Awesome stuff from the entire Rotoworld team, very much including Denny Carter and Kyle Dvorchak. So for Patrick Daugherty, thank you so much for listening. We'll be back with you on Tuesday.